industry. You're a policeman, right?
Yes.
You're an officer of the law here.
10 years.
10 years, and you're still working as on the force, right?
Yeah, been off for a little bit. Had a couple surgeries, but going back soon, and just been busy with the real estate, flipping the houses, and building my rental portfolio.
You found maybe a safer way and a great way to make money. You not only flip homes, you also retain them, and you've got a portfolio of over 20 homes that you use as your rental income. It's fantastic.
Yeah, when I find a property that's identified either as a rental or a renovate and sell and then flip.
So here's everybody's chance out there. Every week we have James Lutz from the office. Obviously, we have Ian and Victoria in here. So, Kevin, we get calls all the time. Last 18 years, everybody wants to they want to buy rental houses. They want to flip them because they watch TV. And everything's so easy because it's on television, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest rage, right? The last 5 to 7 years,
right?
These TV shows have been the hot thing. So everybody thinks they sit down for a half hour, an hour, watch the show. They look at their wife, say, hey, honey, come on. I mean, let's spend some time together. Let's buy a house, flip it. We'll make $50,000. It'll be easy.
Hey, honey, I'm handy. Listen, we got some cash. We're going to buy the house for $20,000. We're going to sell it for $420,000, right? It's just that easy.
Well, of course.
Well, if they can do it on HGTV, then...
Well, exactly. So I guess, and the funny thing is that, you get these questions and we hear it, and we try to counsel and advise people, and we're extremely conservative because we want to set people up for success. So if you were going to tell somebody, hey, listen, because you're experienced at this is what you do, what do you look for? Now, I'm not asking for you to give away your secrets, but I don't really believe there are any secrets. There's hard work. There's picking the right properties. You have to do your thing. And it's not when you sell the property, it's how you buy the property, isn't it?
You just hit the nail on the head. One of the phrases that I use is I make my money when I buy the property. Okay, 'cause there's 3 components, right? There's your acquisition cost, your renovation cost, and then your ARV, your after repair value, what you're going to sell the property for. You should know your numbers. So what you just asked, the biggest thing is knowing your numbers,
right?
If you're going to get into this game, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
If you know your renovation cost, and you know through comps and working with a good realtor like Ian Mason, you should be able to know what you're going to sell it for. If you know those 2 numbers, that gives you the answer to the first one of what your acquisition cost should be. That's the negotiable one.
And
right?
really, in the back of people's mind, they should really think about it, right? They should think this really isn't as easy as it looks.
It's not. Somebody once told me only the first one hurts. Okay, so you muddle through it. There's bumps. You open up walls. You find things. But at the end of the day, you got to finish the project. You got to get it done. Cutting bait and running isn't the answer.
Right.
So you got to be mentally tough, emotionally tough. You get through it, and you learn. Every single house, I flipped over 100 homes. And I learned something still on every single project.
Well, everybody call in. We've got an expert on that, Harv.
Yeah, we're going to take all your calls here at 248-539-9797. There's a method to that madness. And, of course, anything that's out there, there's a method and a process. Ian, we talk about it all the time in our office. And, of course, James knows how important it is to get these real strong approval letters. But more importantly, I'm getting away from the actual piece of paper. And not only is it the piece of paper, but it's the clients themselves, their knowledge, so that they're able to make really good decisions. Sit down with professional real estate agents. You got your needs list. You got this mortgage that you've got to get done. And things have to be done all within 30 days. So just out there within the marketplace, is there any new twist on what's going on? We know the inventory's been tight. What are you seeing out there as we sort of dive into the spring and summer months here?
Starting to see a lot of different buyers try to do different things with their offers and appraisal guarantees, and certainly shooting over the list price and waiving inspection contingencies, and all sorts of different things. There's you're actually starting to see people write a lot of letters and things, which are sort of in some cases go against fair housing and things like that. So
yeah, we've heard about the letters. We've talked about them for years. Sort of a little biography letter that you would send into the listing agent, and you always give a call, I'm sure, to the listing agent and say, look, is there any additional things that the seller wants that my buyers could potentially, or my offer can say? Is that something that you would do in a normal transaction?
When working for the buyers, of course, we always try to streamline the offers and everything, get the inspection contingencies down as short as they can be, the closing periods down, work with the loan officers like James and make sure that they have everything in line to do it quick. I'm not a huge fan of writing letters and things like that, just because I think it's a little out of the ordinary. I try to stick to the objectivity of a good, strong, clean offer.
Right.
So
good communication from the loan officers. You see that often. I've been starting to get a few more calls from listing agents. So they say, hey, Harvey, we got a copy of your approval letter. We want to make sure where you at with this. And then some of the agents do understand what we mean when we say we've run it through the DU, AUS system, and whatever type of loan it might be, saying that we've got it all approved. And then we've also taken the additional steps to show that you've got the funds to close. And this is something we can get done within 20, 30 days. Are you finding yourself even sometimes getting those phone calls, or are you making those phone calls?
I make them, as far as working for the sellers, and when the offers come in and everything, we certainly call out to all the loan officers, go through the details and everything. One of the bigger tricks to me is making sure, I mean, obviously a lot of the offers that come through are FHA under the 300,000 mark. And
Right,
things.
right.
So it's very important to work with the various clients and the agents and make sure the house is actually meets the FHA health and safety guidelines.
Right.
Because once you get all the way down the line, you're 25 days in or whatever, the appraisal comes back and you get a laundry list of things, and seller may not be able or willing to repair them. So working with a couple of professionals and taking an honest look at what the house is and speaking with the loan officer is very, very important.
Yeah, the FHA guidelines in regards to what repairs need to be done, they've come down. It's just as easy pretty much to purchase a house FHA, as you would know, as conventional. And most of the homes out there, because we run into these flippers all the time, they've done a nice job. Not everyone has, but generally speaking, most
Harvey,
of them,
isn't really, when we talk about repairs, isn't it really about the health and safety issues of the house?
Yeah, it
I mean,
always-
handrails. I mean, steps,
Peeling paint.
Cracks in the driveway.
yeah,
are
I mean,
just
it's really
notorious.
right, Victoria. It's really about health and safety issues because you want the person that's buying the house to make sure that they're safe in the house. So, what I don't understand, and you guys are really experienced, so you don't argue this. You do these in all the houses that you buy and you turn over. And when you sell a house, when you walk through the house and you're walking through pre-inspection, you see things, you're going to recommend to that seller, hey, this needs to be fixed or else it's not going to go, period. And why would you want somebody to buy an unsafe house? So my point is if you're experienced, you're not going to argue if light switches and GFEs need to be put into place, if stairs need to have handrails going down the stairs in the basement or upstairs to downstairs. I mean, who's going to argue with that, really? You guys don't argue that.
No, not at all. I mean, some of the city's certificate of occupancy requirements and things you want to get done, out of the gate, and that'll cover some of the FHA.
Of course,
stuff as well.
it's just common sense.
These buyers and these real estate agents in this market, because it's so competitive, they know all these things. They know what to look for. They want a top notch. They know a hack renovation to a quality renovation, and that's the biggest thing with working with a quality agent as well. Is they should be able to know whether this is a safe property or not.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right? You walk through enough properties. You buy, sell enough homes and deal with enough home inspectors, you should know and do a cursory inspection with your buyer before you even waste the time to write an offer.
Yeah, there's been some
love it,
cosmetic improvements that have just really covered up some things that are wrong.
Yeah.
So you got to have some professionals in there. Hey, let's move off to our first call this morning. We'll take all your calls at 248-539-9797. Let's go to Jake in St. Clair Shores. Thanks for calling in, Jake. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hey, actually, just to make my day, Mr. McClellan, he's probably the most successful investor in Macomb County over the last 10 years. Turned the radio on this morning, and here I am on. I've never, been able to meet him, but I follow his work on Facebook and inner circle of friends that I have. And I just have two questions for him. And one would be, I've heard horror stories about investors buying properties 3, 4, or 5 at a crack, and the budget being put on expected expenses like foundation issues, roof issues, like lead problems, major mold. How do you guard against getting underwater on one, or it can steamroll into 2 or 3? What do you do to protect yourself on the unexpected issues, sir?
Kev, you got that one? So really the question is from Jake is, there's a lot of unexpected things that come up when you're an investor, mold, different issues with, the condition of the property, foundation issues, serious issues. Tell us a little about that path that you take. You hire the professionals right away. It's a visual. You got to get down and dirty and get in there and get in that crawl space maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing is doing your homework on the property. Again, it just comes down to how well do you buy the property, right? If the margin's huge and you're going to deal with some headaches and need to repair some big ticket items as we call them, then the dollars are there and you're not stressed out through the whole project. But in terms of Jake's question, it's the more you do, the more you educate yourself, and you should be able to look for these certain things. You should be able to walk through for 5 minutes, look for the major 5 things, okay? And then also reach out to your professionals that you've developed relationships with, your foundation guy, your roofer, your window guy. Call them. If you give them enough business and you say, hey, I'm really close to acquiring this property. I think I'm going to make an offer on it, but I want you to just check this crawl space. I guarantee you, if you give them enough business and they're your guy,
they're out there,
and you have a good relationship, they're going to meet you there and not want you to make a bad buy as well.
Yeah, that's great stuff. You got to have more professional people involved, whether it be your house flipper, you need construction people, home inspectors, professional real estate agents, mortgage people, all of the above. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. When we're back, 248-539-9797. All of your calls.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Free, alongside of me, Mr. Harry Glantz.
Morning, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Harv. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Hey, good morning, Harry.
You watched the Tiger game last night?
I only caught a little of it. I saw they took it on the chin, but
Everybody says to me, I text everybody during the Tiger game going, oh, it's 2-0, we look good. And then in the ninth inning, or the bottom of the eighth inning, we give up 4 runs. They say, what do you watch the Tigers for? Well, number one, they're my team.
exactly.
Number two, I love baseball. So how do you not watch your team playing baseball?
For sure, that's
just the way it is.
100%. Hey, here, we brought in Peter Zook from our office, too. Hey, Pete, thanks for coming in. Of course, Pete works a lot downriver, and he brings in Tony Holquin from Gap Realty Group down in the downriver area. I know you guys work a whole area.
Yeah.
All
Thank
Metro
you very much
Detroit.
for having us.
Well, it's great to have you, Tony. I think we've closed a few transactions before. I saw your name when Pete brought you, said you were coming on. I said, I know Tony. He's been around a while.
Yeah, I've been around for 22 years, so I'm sure we've crossed paths sometime or another.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with you too, Tony. It's real exciting to have you here. So we'll talk about some interesting strategies and things that you said something to me this week that I haven't heard anyone offering. So we'll get into that today. Again, if you're listening, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We have a full staff all weekend long. That's where you get your approval letter. It's a real approval letter that allows you to go out and make a strong offer. That's the key out there, as Tony would tell you, that all the real estate agents in the listing side, they want to make sure that you can close in a timely manner and there's not going to be any hangups if they accept your offer. So we'll get into all that today. I know Ronnie Jacobs is at the office, and you can call there at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283. But, of course, first, we'll give you 1 hour here of the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Then we got some sports and a whole bunch of things coming up later this afternoon.
Harvey, remember back in the day when we started out the show, and we've been doing the show going on 18 years, you guys. Back in the day, we used to give an economic update. What's going on in the stock market, what's going on in the bar market, all those things. So we stopped doing that. But however is that right now, people need to know, and the jobs report came out, the unemployment rate came out, and it's close to 3% unemployment rate, which is the lowest in, I think, 17 years. So what does that mean for mortgage interest rates? Well, it's pretty simple. When the economy does really well, there's no need for the Fed to ease interest rates. So what does that mean for all of us? That means rates are going to go up. We've been talking about that. As the economy gets better, rates are going to go up. The jobs report is showing that, and it's being stimulated by the housing market.
All right, welcome back to the show. 9:17 if you're just joining us. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 18th year of giving you some great information here. Hope you give us a call at 248-539-9797. Always a full staff at Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's 1-800-569-7283. Deal with real mortgage professionals. Get a real mortgage approval. And how about this? Get educated on what you're about to sign and what you're about to do. We still see it nonstop at the office. Some families still just signing, and we ask, did you read the contract? And there's a lot of no's.
How about ask some questions?
Questions. Get some
How about
answers.
ask some questions
Like that
are going to prevent you from failing at the transaction?
There you go.
Yeah, how about that? The dissemination of accurate versus inaccurate information.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that come up in real estate still. We've gotten away for a couple of things that actually came up this week. We've gotten away in the mortgage industry on plotted subdivisions, doing surveys, mortgage surveys, because the lines don't change, the subdivisions don't change. And sure enough, I got a call from an old friend, and he had a situation where he bought a property in the last couple of years, and it turns out that his property lines aren't where he thought they were. So there's a lot of things you can do up front by having more professional people, real estate agents, mortgage people, just involved in the transaction to help you prepare yourself for that up-and-coming purchase. All right, let's go to a few calls now. 248-539-9797. Our first call I'm going to go to, let's try Randy first from Bloomfield. Good morning, Randy. Welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, thanks a lot for taking the call. We're in the midst of getting ready to sell our house, and during the inspection, our radon number came back at 3.9. And my question is, are we better off putting a radon system in? And what are the recommendations currently on which system? What level should one be trying to achieve? And how does one resolve this?
Okay, that's a great question. I'm not an expert in those. Do you guys have any background in the radon machines themselves?
That's what I was going to say. That's a sensitive topic, and that's something that needs to be dealt with by,
the
radon
professional
gas specialist.
Randy, let me ask you a question. So you're the seller of the house, and the family buying it did a home inspection. They did a radon gas inspection, and they found this to you, and they've come back to you and said, "Hey, we've got a situation here." The machine cost, I think, what is it, $1,800 to $2,500?
Yeah. Well, we've talked to a couple places about systems, but the question is, how do you move forward on the next step and the closing of the house? What level then do you want to achieve to, and how do you write the contract to move forward?
Well, we've seen them two different ways. We've seen them where the work is done ahead of time so that the sellers and buyers have agreed on the system they're going to install in the house. They write an addendum that states that the radon system will be installed. It also sometimes, if it's on the purchase agreement, it needs to be inspected then. So you can do it that way. You could also give the sellers concessions to give the buyers additional funds to handle the repair after you move. But you know what concerns me, Randy? You're living there. I don't want to live another 30 seconds in a house that has it. When are you moving out?
Well, we're in the next 30 days. We hope to close and move out.
I think
the guidelines, the government guidelines, as you know, is just have radon levels below 4.
Well, 4 is high. Okay, they want a 2 or below, right? And you're in the 3.7 range.
No, the government says 4. BPA is 4.0.
I like the
Okay.
I like the idea, Randy.
Yeah.
You're selling your house that you give the sellers a concession to allow them to purchase. You know, if you're happy with the sale price of the house, you're going to lose a little, but you're giving a concession to the buyers. That way, they're able to put the machine in the system they want to put into the house. If they love the house and everything, the radon companies will tell you that these machines do work very well.
And probably the quickest way to get it done too. Easiest, quickest way.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not a radon expert at all, and my numbers might be off from yours. If it's as simple as giving somebody a credit or, and then you can move on and everybody's happy, that might be the best way.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, you got it.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call, Randy. Always interesting. Again, here, we always talk about it, some interesting things before when we're not on the air. One of the things is inspections.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's getting away from whether or not there's enough insulation in the attic, or as to it's a little bit more important if there's mold in the attic. Now we're into some very serious stuff. Radon gas. This is some serious things out there. And these radon tests, Ian, and you want to comment on this, these tests can take up to a week. They say some of the better tests are about a week. It's not the one where you just put the thing down there for 2 days, and those aren't as good. But there's a true radon test that takes over a week. Right. So there's a little bit of time constraint in here. I think it's a valuable thing that you put that in there. It says, hey, I need 7 to 10 days to just make sure the house is all fine and dandy. How do you feel about that?
All of those inspections are very important. They're very valuable. Unfortunately, where the market is right now, you're competing to buy a house, and there's a lot of people who are willing to
forego that
and even waive inspections and things of the sort. So that's sort of a judgment call you kind of have to make as a buyer today.
Yeah.
Are cities like, have you heard, so this gentleman says, they found some radon in his basement. Wouldn't that be, like the other homes in the neighborhood too? This is where your professional real estate agent really brings a lot to the table when they have the expertise of what's going on in the neighborhoods or the subdivisions. Isn't this really where that old time real estate agent talk was? Hey, this is my farm area. The reason why is because you're an expert in this area and you know that there's radon gas in these particular communities.
Right, and it's similar to a question you mentioned that was on the screen over there: was how do you pick a real estate agent? And the old thing in real estate's location, location, location. Find the most prevalent person. They should be from the neighborhood. They should have sold a number of houses up and down, the streets in your area. And to relate it to radon would be someone who would be able to tell you from their experience that, well, I've seen it in this basement, I've seen it in that basement.
Yeah, and that's why I honestly shake my head, and I know people want to get into houses. I know they want to buy. I know the market's hot, and there are all those variables into the transaction. That's why I could never recommend waiving an inspection. You don't know, unless you're a trained professional, unless you're this guy, unless you're Kevin, and you go in and you're just going to cut the house and do what you got to do, and he's looking for certain things. I don't know. I could never recommend somebody to go ahead and waive an inspection. There are too many things, and this is too big of a transaction.
I agree. It's your biggest like they say, it's most people's biggest transactions in their life, right?
Right.
I guess that comes down to answer your question is whether you're a gambler or not.
Right. Why not be safe? But
yeah.
if I've got you and you guys are just going and doing what you're doing, then that's up to you. But I want your average person on the street. No.
Yeah, what I do when I go in and renovate a house and take it down to the studs, we're replacing everything from the outlet, every single switch. We don't really save anything. So I know everything's getting replaced.
Right.
You know what you're going to be selling.
But those home buyers, a lot of them don't have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to put in these properties. That's why they want properties.
Nor should they. Nor should they, right?
But isn't that where it comes down to the loan officer, the realtor, knowing what they're doing to kind of cut it off at the pass and foresee these problems before they arise?
Yes, sir.
Because now you got these poor buyers excited about a house. They got money invested in
appraisals, inspections, sure.
Everything else, time, energy, emotions, everything else. And then something that could have been foreseen if they had an experienced realtor that has ran into this problem before in this area with radon in the ground or, mold, this, that, and the other. So I think that's where.
And Harvey hit on it. There isn't going to be a house in this area with the rain and the weather that we've had in the last 5 or 6 years. Right. Flooding and everything that hasn't had a problem.
Well, come on, we're in Michigan,
so
right?
This is what we do, and we have to look out for that. So it's really what is the degree and the magnitude of the issue of that house? Because they're all going to have them.
All going to have some.
They're all going to have them, right? And Victoria's shaking her head. They all have problems, don't they?
Well, yeah, most of these houses are 60, 70, 80 years old, right?
Right. And you make the great point, Kev, is what you're saying is, and Ian sees it all the time, it's 45 degrees today, it'd be 80 this week, and the moisture builds up in the attic. And one of the things that even the roofers have said is some of the homes haven't been vented properly, and this is causing mold. So you see it so often when you're out there buying these homes. The question at the end of the day, Ian, is, as we were talking about earlier, is sellers' concessions are gone. Buyers may not have enough money to make up the difference. They're already overbidding on the house. At the end of the day, they might not have money to put in that radon machine that's going to remove the gas from the house. And again, I've known over the years they're somewhere between, and again, they do cost and range based on size and what they do, $1,500 to $3,000. Some families, they need the house. It's not a big deal, and it remedies the problem. Other families can't come up with that right now.
Yep.
Right. It just becomes a pretty big problem. Educate yourself on the mortgage process. That's always key, definitely. Home buyer seminars that we do at Capital Mortgage. Call True Mortgage Bankers, Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Sit down. We give you one-on-one home buying seminars. It's absolutely free to you. Walk out with not only a true mortgage approval, but have a great knowledge and understanding of what your next steps are and how to become a homeowner. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. When we come back, we'll go to Peter's call. He's on a cell phone. We've got tons to talk about. 248-539-9797.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
righty, welcome back to the show, 918. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. It's where you're going to find a full staff of qualified mortgage professionals. Just check our mortgage license numbers. We've been around a long time. And again, we're there to provide you the best.
Yeah, you like
approval
doing
letter.
that, don't you?
I do.
Here's what
little
Harvey
bit.
does. Harvey likes checking the NMLS license numbers of other LOs that he competes with.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then he said he does it because he's been in the business 24 years. He's got a lower one.
26.
I've got a lower one. So bottom line is he looks at him and he looks at the license number and says, "Wow, this guy's been in the business like a year." And then he starts railing on the guy. It's just a source of entertainment.
It's just a source of entertainment. Exactly. That's all it is. But we've got some great information to share with you all morning long. Please give us a phone call, especially if you're downriver. Give us an idea what's going on there. Tony Holquin, his office down there, Gap Realty Group. They're experts in the downriver area. If you're buying or selling a house, definitely give us a phone call. We'll tell you how to get it all set up. 248-539-9797. Here he actually mentioned about the economy doing so well. There's no doubt about it. The economy's doing great, and now we're starting to see, of course, the interest rates bump up. Actually, the stock market was up 332 points. It doesn't even make news when they have rallies like that anymore. And again, 300-400 points is just big numbers to see the stock market doing so well, which leads us into different opportunities for families to come up with down payment money. And that's the thing. You need money to work with to purchase a house because of the multiple bids, Tony. When there's multiple bids, 10, 12, 20 bids coming in on a house, we know it's highest and best. But sometimes as a buyer, you need to have some additional money to make up the difference if you have to bid over the asking price.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you have to do it, whereas you guarantee the appraisal to a certain extent. All the other things that we've been hearing about, the free occupancy, sometimes the quick close works, and just like Harry said, sometimes a quick close can be a detriment. Mm-hmm. So it's the agent's job, the buyer's agent job, to get a hold of the seller's agent and find out what's going on, what do the sellers need, and try to put your offer into that category.
Yeah, you still send a biography letter too with your offers.
Sometimes we do that. Yeah.
You want to make it as an attractive situation as you possibly can, Tony. So what you do, in my opinion, is you have to really get to know who that seller is. And chances are, if you're buying in a neighborhood, that realtor, you are going to know that seller. And you're going to know what their hot buttons are. And you're going to put together an offer. Peter's going to get you a pre-approval letter letting you know the buyer is very well qualified to enter into that purchase agreement. And then you've got to work on things like occupancy, flex.
$1,000 keyword. Text the keyword to 72881 and you'll be entered to win $1,000 in this national contest. Message and data rates apply. One random selected nationwide entrant will win $1,000 from Entercom. Win $1,000 an hour on 97.1 The Ticket.
All righty, we're back on 9:31. If you're just waking up, I can't say it's a gorgeous day out there, but it's a beautiful day anyways.
Not a bad day.
Get out there and enjoy. Every day's a good day. 248-539-9797. We take all your calls here on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Always looking to educate our buyers out there. Interest rates have burped up a little bit. Boy, we looked back and saw what the Fannie Mae prediction was for this year. They were a little off. The Mortgage Bankers Association, however, has been right on the money. And their prediction so far this year for 2018 does show still a trending upward in the world of interest rates. So, again, get out there. If you haven't refinanced yet, take a look at it. Debt consolidation loans are fantastic. So much equity in the homes. Ian, you know that. Ian Mason from Premier Real Estate out on the east side. Ian, it's been really great because the families that you got into homes in 2010 and 2011, even before that, they've got a ton of equity in their house. It looks like home ownership was the right thing for them.
It's definitely the right move. That added a lot of wealth to that generation. It's kind of an amazing feature now. The trick, though, is how do you sell it and buy another one that you're happy with, because the prices are just soaring.
Right. If you're going to sell at the high right now, you're buying at the high, right?
Right.
So that could be an issue. But people the baby boomers, my age,
well, for you,
a little bit older, what we're looking to do is we're looking to get out of our colonial style houses. And if you don't have a first floor master, we're looking at not going up the stairs anymore. We want to sell a house. We want a ranch or something with a first floor master. And that's what you're seeing. That's what the trend is right now. Problem is there's only a little over a 2-month supply of inventory. There's about a 2.5-month supply. A 6-month supply is considered normal. So there's less than half the normal supply. So you're not going to find that. So people that, sure, they can maximize their sale, but where are they going to go on the buy end?
Yeah, and the homes just, the good ones, the great stuff, they pop up, they're gone. There's multiple bids. You're sitting down analyzing offers because you have so many bids trying to figure out what the best offer is going to be. It's generally highest and best. Is that what you're still going with? Of course, and I guess, give me some information on that.
There's definitely a lot of that going on. And from, like working with Kevin, I think he agrees with me, is I don't often call highest and best on multiple offers. And almost every listing is something where you receive multiple offers.
Yeah.
But what we try to do is look through, find the deals that are the best and the ones that are actually the most likely to close. Because nobody wants to be standing here 30 days from now off market and have to start over again. So it's not, to me, it's not always about the sale price. You should have priced it. Correct, yeah. And you should have priced it out of the gate with something that you're happy with.
That's not happening a lot now, is it? I mean, sales aren't flipping. I mean, people that you're putting in houses, they're usually pre-approved. And they're coming in and they have stuff, unless, you might have to extend the closing because somebody can't get you some paperwork, but you're not seeing things flip back, are you?
We've had, I counsel sellers on this all the time. I mean, whether even when you come in with a good buyer and a strong offer and everything, we've had a buyer's identity stolen somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 days before closing, and they weren't issued a clear to close.
Sure.
And it's just something that's completely beyond
it's a long
anybody's
control.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things that happen.
Or like the inspection goes wrong, something goes wrong with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a number of different things. And of course, with these highest and bests and people, offering way over the list price, you still have to get an appraisal too.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're borrowing money, you're going to be getting an appraisal. Hey, we have
one of my favorite subjects, Harvey.
That's beautiful. You said it. Don't say appraisal. 248-539-9797. Let's go off to some calls here. I've got. Let's try. Go with Mike first out here on a cell phone. Hey, Mike. Good morning. What's your question?
Both of my kids are just out of college and they're looking for homes, and I was wondering what way to go on a mortgage. I talked to a few people and they say if it's possible, get a 5 to a 7 year adjustable, because the majority of people move in within 7 years out of their first home into an upgrade or something.
That could be the case. Yeah, that could be the case. I would say no. I think the 5 and 7 year ARMs, although the rates are very attractive, they're just a little bit lower because of the flat yield curve out there. They're just a little bit lower than where the fixed rates are. And I don't know, Mike, I like the idea of being fixed in, especially for the young generation now. What we're seeing right now in the marketplace, Mike, and that's why what you said sort of alarms me that people told you this, is they might think they're only going to stay there for 5 or 7 years. But Ian's saying what we all, and the other professional agents, they're saying there's no inventory. Where are they going in 5 years? Where's a 24-year-old who, now they're 29?
The savings on that
I think you have
the risk.
Right. I think you have to weigh that out. I think you have to take a look at it and you have to do the math on it. Now, if you're saving a tremendous amount on a monthly basis times 7 year, do that math. Or if we put you into a fixed rate mortgage, whatever the difference between the adjustable rate and the fixed is, and multiply that by the amount of months you think you're going to be there, there's your math. And then you say, is it worth it? Because if you know when you lay your head down on your pill that house is going to be gone in 5 years, then you might want to take a 5 or 7 year. But if you can't say for certain, I'm a pretty conservative guy, the fixed rates aren't that much higher than an adjustable rate, and they're still at historic lows. I mean, you're talking about these rates are the same rates that were in the 1960s. Now, I know they've been lower, but why are you going to risk that?
Ours is a fixed rate, my wife and I'm just going back years and thinking that it used to be a big difference. I haven't followed the rates for a long time, but I remember originally when the first house I bought, it was 14.5% in the 80s. So everybody went with ARMs back then, and they have been for years. But the last couple years, the rates have been inching up slowly but surely. So.
Mike, I can 100% tell you, and I'll let Ian speak after that. The person who told you doesn't know where the rates are either.
Yeah. So spread on an adjustable and a fixed, there's no spread there anymore.
Yeah. So
right. If it was a 1 percentage point, you say it might be worth it doing the math, but it's probably less than that at this point.
Yes, it is.
Mike, good stuff. No, I thank you for bringing up the conversation. More importantly, your kids are going to need professional help. I'll follow up with you after the show. We really appreciate your call.
Okay, no problem. I appreciate that.
Thanks, my man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
because those kids need not only information about mortgage rates, that's a part of the problem, the situation or what they're about to get into, but they need to know what they're doing. There's so many different things. And boy, no offense to Mike, he sounds here closer to our age, let's just say. So if he's closer to our age and he experienced
closer to my age,
closer to your age. So if he experienced some rates at 14%, you know what the rates were, James, back in the day, 80 when you were probably just being born.
Yeah, when you were born,
and you see that. So then anyone with a head screwed on, how can you look at a 13-14% rate and then think that an adjustable would be a good idea when the fixed rates are below 5 now or in that
scary.
ballpark?
That's the next generation of people coming up, and they're all getting bad advice.
Yeah.
Well, isn't part of what Mike was getting at though is real estate's volatile, right? We don't know from year to year what it's going to do. So his thing was a 5 to 7 year plan. We don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the
risk.
biggest questions. A lot of the questions I get and you guys get is, well, what's this market going to do? We're essentially 10 years, 12 years out from the Great Recession.
Yeah, exactly.
The housing
From 07,
bust, right? So everybody's just talking point is that, well, we're due for one. We're due for one. The next 2 years, it's going to bust again. We're going to have a downturn. But are we? I mean, that's the question I got for you guys of if rates stay where they're at, inventory is still low and demand's still high, what's going to change that?
So let me ask you this question. So if you could lock in a rate right now and never have to worry about it again, wouldn't you do that?
I would.
I think that's the move all day.
Lock day one.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, especially Kev, you own rental properties, and I'll tell you, a lot of younger people, even people in my office in their mid-30s, they're on their first house in Royal Oak. They've got so much equity. They're considering, sometimes they want to flip and use that money to buy the new one on the expensive side. They're also looking at retaining these homes and using them as rental properties in the future. You can just get so much out there because of the lack of inventory, and there's a lot of families out there that don't qualify, so they have to rent.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I just got a great text. The text is, I thought I would be in my home only 5 years. It's now 19 years later.
Exactly.
Someone said,
Here you go. Not kidding. Right here. Here it is, camera. Right there. There's
I
a
don't
text.
blame that person because I
There
just
you
hate,
go.
I hate
There it is.
moving. I'll just probably not move because I hate moving so much. But that's
There's so
just
many
me.
reasons.
Maybe that's being lazy. I don't
No
know.
offense to the moving
Thought I'd be
companies
in
out there.
my house 5 years. It's now 19 years later.
I want to bring up a program that will go to our caller out there, the 3% Home Possible Freddie Mac program. It's been out there, but there's some income restrictions on it, not for everybody in different areas. But Freddie actually has a new program coming out, a 3% down program. It's going to be coming out in July, and there's no income restrictions. So, again, families out there, if you're thinking about purchasing a house, it doesn't take a whole lot of money. You can get a gift from a family member, borrow money from a 401k, call the professionals at Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll show you what it takes to purchase a house, and we'll get you the right mortgage to set yourself up for successful home ownership. That's the key here. Yep. All right, let's move off to, we got a couple calls here. Peter, you've been on the cell phone for a while. Good morning, Peter. Welcome to our show. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This one's, I guess I have to ask Ian Mason, the real estate agent there. I notice that you advertise a lot there on Instagram. I see real estate agent Ian Mason, kind of like a local celebrity in the Grosse Pointe area.
I think you know this guy.
Hey, this is your brother. Hi, Ian's brother. How are you?
It's funny because I see his face all over the place, and
there he goes.
This voice sounds familiar.
And you admit that?
Is this the right guy?
You see the gigantic hat on the big white signs all over the streets in Grosse Pointe, Harbor Woods, and St. Clair Shores? Is that what you're saying?
I do see it. I guess the question.
Have you ever seen the houses lit up at night as bright as day?
I live in the area.
I think you can see the sign from space.
Pete, we thank you for calling. Last words. Go get your last word in, Peter.
Here's my question, because there's a lot of bartenders and soccer moms trying to be real estate agents these days because of the hot market. I'm wondering, how do you find the right one, the right real estate agent, and how do you know it's the right one, especially with the advertising?
Great question.
That's
Thanks.
a very good question, a very important question. And the answer to that is you need to find what one of the top or most prevalent people in your neighborhood, somebody who went to school in the area, somebody who lives in the area, somebody who can come by your house at a moment's notice, somebody who's very familiar or intimately familiar with the housing stock and the sales. And it's one of the better questions when selling a house is who's going to do it. These days you have all sorts of, we'll say big box type brands, and you have all sorts of people who are, lower on in experience and things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And if you like that person, that person, you trust that person who may not have that much experience, just make sure that they have a burning desire to sell your house and that they're willing to look around and obtain the different tools and marketing tools to do it.
Yeah.
The downside is, these days we have such an incredible number of tools and places to post things and ways to get the word out and all that. So make sure that person's willing to go out and get them, because anybody can do it. They just have to be willing to do it.
Great answer.
advice,
We definitely
man.
thank you on the
Perfect
call.
answer.
Hey, when we come back, the music says we got a quick little break here. 248-539-9797. All of your calls, keep it here.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Already right back to the show, 9:32. Welcome back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, again brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's where you'll find us all week long. Get a real approval letter. Deal with real professionals that have tons of experience. Find out all the ins and outs of the mortgages and how it all works just by calling Capital Mortgage. We're right here in Southfield. We'll meet you at your place, or you can come to ours, whatever's convenient for you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. And we've got a call in here, and if you would like to join the show, 248-539-9797. Let's move off to Evelyn. Evelyn, you've got a question. Good morning. Go ahead.
Question. I purchased my home back in 2010 when the economy was really tanked, and I got a really good deal as a foreclosure. And now that my home is worth almost 4 times more than I bought it for,
all right,
I'm wondering if I should sell it and take the profit and go and get another mortgage, or should I refinance, stay where I'm at, and maybe pay off some debt, student loans, things of that nature.
No, Evelyn, where are you going to go if you sell it?
That's what everyone says to me.
You might want to consider that. Also, do you like where you live? I mean, do you want this to be your last move? I'm just trying to figure out what your family needs, your individual needs are.
Well, I do like the area. The thing is that the house is very old. It's 100 years old, and it needs some updates. And so if I need to put some money into the house, quite frankly. And I guess I'm just frustrated because I would rather maybe possibly move and go somewhere where it's turnkey, walk in, don't need to fix anything up, or do I stay, take some money out of the equity in my home and fix it up and just stay there?
Well, why not? The answer could be why not both? I mean, if you go ahead and sell the house and you make a profit, you're going to have proceeds in which to go ahead and pay off that toxic debt and probably have enough money to buy another house in an area where, like you said, it's a turnkey. The house isn't as old. But that's something that you have to sit down. You have to put, pen to paper and say, here are my goals and objectives. What do I want to do? And you have to factor in, if you stay in that 100-year-old house, how much you're going to have to put in it to make it the way you want it to stay there for a long period of time.
To 97.1, The Ticket.
All righty, welcome back. It is 9:46. I didn't want to talk about the weather. It's weather. And if you just getting up, go out and enjoy the day. If you're brave enough, go out there and check out some open houses. But first, call Capital Mortgage Funding. Get a real strong approval letter. Find out exactly what you qualify for. Find out all the ins and outs of purchasing a house. Again, call Capital 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll set you up with great real estate agents like Ian Mason and his team. Victoria's here, and make real estate really fun. There's a lot of things to avoid when you're purchasing a house. We'll get into a lot of these things, such as not having a true approval letter, not having your funds to close, losing a job, changing your income. Lots of things that can sort of derail your mortgage and getting the purchase. But Ian, you've talked about something else, a good way to sell your house that sort of people are skeptical about. Go ahead with that one. You showed me the card.
Oh, you're asking about cash investor purchase for homes. It's certainly not for everybody. I mean,
Okay.
you're not going to sell a retail home to a cash investor, but grandma's home that's been deteriorated, or maybe a home that's recently had a fire or something that's beyond the average person's ability to rehab and things of that sort. I mean, we're all familiar with derelict property, things where the city's coming down and tickets and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, a situation where the seller wants it gone in 7 days, not 30 to 40.
Right, wants or needs it gone. I think the question came up. There's a lot of scam artists out there, and is that a decent way to sell something?
Right. I see that when I'm at an intersection and I see it on the side of the road, it says, I'll pay cash for houses.
Will pay cash for home.
Correct.
On that $2.99 sign.
Yeah.
I know a guy that will.
Obviously, in any industry
Sorry,
or
Kevin.
any business, there's going to be scam artists and unscrupulous people and things like that. But there's a time and a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's certainly a lot of homes that you can't get a mortgage on. I've had even homes with conventional mortgages where they've flagged things for broken glass, or of course it's missing a furnace or what have you. So things like Kevin McClellan and Cash for Your House Now is a great way to broom a house that's difficult to sell.
When you guys buy those, I'm curious because someone's listening now, of course, it's been a great business for so many families out there to become house flippers or investors. Do you guys do title insurance? I mean, is there something? I'm a little afraid. It sounds like it's a great thing. Someone's got an extra, let's say, $20,000 in the house, potentially fixed up, could be an $80,000 house. And I think you see a lot of those in that price range. What about like title insurance and making sure that the proper liens and that you're buying something that you really do own?
You mean from the purchaser side?
From the purchaser side, yeah. I'm scared
of course,
about that.
absolutely. The most everything I deal with is warranty deeds. So everything's cleared through a title company, and it's very rare that I recommend to anybody to transfer something on a quick claim or go with forego title insurance.
Okay, so you're definitely doing some due diligence on your part, even though it's cash. There is some quick due diligence
to get free and clear
title insurance, things of that
free
nature.
And clear, marketable title. Yeah, that's
there you go.
Obviously one of them.
Sometimes you also have to check with the city to make sure that they already haven't put it as a property that they're going to destroy, right? Because there are some cities
On
that
the
sometimes
demolition list.
they already have it on the demo list. You paid for it, it's gone. You show up and the house is gone.
Right.
That's
Right.
one of the biggest things is just checking with the cities, asking for that list. They'll give you the knock list, as we call it, from all the different inspectors that come through. So if you're looking, you, your partner, wife, are looking to go and buy a house to renovate, one thing that can stop a lot of your headaches is going to the city, tell them you're interested in this property, call the building department, ask them what they have on file on that property. They'll give it to you, and you'll get the sheet from the plumbing inspector, the mechanical inspector, the electrical inspector, and the building inspector. And that right there might tell you how much you got to put in the home.
Hey, let's go move off to a call here. We've got John calling in on a cell phone. Hey, John, thanks for staying on the line, and go ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, I was calling. Thanks for having me first, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Filed Chapter 13 back in December. Everything's gone through the courts now, and still there is trying to get a modification on the loan, and I still haven't received anything from them. I was just trying to figure out too, at the current situation, is it possible to switch mortgage companies at this time, or is it just a wait and see after modification? How's that work?
Yeah, you have to wait for your disposition on the modification. If you request for a mod from your lender, then you're going to have to wait on them. And I wouldn't do anything. I would wait to see what they have to say. But they're going to check it out. They're going to go through, they're going to want answers to questions. I'm sure you provided them some documentation, the answers to the questions. But, the modification has to work for them also. So they're going to run the numbers. They're going to check out your information. They're going to see if you qualify for a mod.
Hey, John, what's the situation with you? Do you have equity in your house?
Oh, yeah.
And you have lots of equity in your house. And are you able to make the current house payment, or you're not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the time when I had to file, I feel like I just got kind of railroaded by the current mortgage company because I requested certain times at that time back in August and September for modifications, and they never got back to me. And then somebody told me it was too late to do it. And I tried saying, okay, well, what do I owe to settle at least get it current? And then they said, well, you'd have to pay so much at this time. And then obviously at that time I couldn't afford to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one lady finally I got a hold of somebody, and she said, well, if you need to save your house, and she said file Chapter 13.
Right.
And that was coming from one of the mortgage personnel there at that company. And then
so back in the fall when they're under no obligation to modify the note. Right, because you signed a promissory note, said I'm going to pay back X at this rate at this date for this term, and they're under no obligation to modify it. So when you called, did they tell you that you had to miss payments in order to qualify? I know that sounds strange, but did they say that, or did you continue to make your payment on time?
No, at that time, no, it was a few months behind, and then at the time, she just kept saying in order to get caught up, you'd have to pay this amount, the 4 months or whatever it's you're behind. You have to pay that in full.
All right.
They couldn't take anything partial at that time.
Yeah, here's what will happen. Let Harvey and James call you off the air and go through the process with you. But right this second, I would stick with what you have. And if we can go down an alternative road, we will for you. But we'll give you a call after the show.
Yep, for sure, John.
Okay.
Sounds like you'll be on the other side of this in the near future. So thank you for the call. And again, hopefully it helps someone else out there. If you know, there's different choices that pop up. Everyone has a different situation going on. And again, it'd probably take a little bit more Q&A to find out exactly how we would proceed in this situation. But the key is to get more, again, you know, he did have the bankruptcy attorney. That's a good start. I think good information from mortgage people will help them. But as you mentioned here, you know, you're signing notes out there, folks.
And that's why it's called a promissory note. I promise to pay back X every month for this term of months.
Right. And if there's no obligation for a lender to do that, sometimes selling the house and sort of doing it over again. You know, there's nothing wrong with starting things over again. James, as you know, we had so many families lose their jobs in 07, 08, 09, the bankruptcies, foreclosures. We had job loss. The auto market here was getting hit hard. But we're back. We're back strong now. So families are coming back into play and getting mortgages after Chapter 13s and Chapter 7s.
Yeah, because I got into this 7 years ago. So, and the difference between how many foreclosures, bankruptcies, short sales I saw back then as to now, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see.
Well,
it's very positive.
There
and
are
it's
life
coming back
circumstances
strong.
happen. I mean, things happen in people's lives, and there are circumstances that need to be, you know, taken care of and rectified, and we're here to help people out.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are things that happen, and we'll take care of it for you.
Yeah. I got a good question here. It's something for Ian to jump in on. Ticket Text, is it true that square footage is the square footage, and it doesn't matter what updates you've done to the house as far as what the value could be?
Well, of course, square footage certainly plays into it, and the size of a home absolutely is part of the value. That question was just
basically comparing two cookie cutter homes, but one is just done up much nicer. And are they going to sell for the same, or is one going to be worth more because it's nicer?
No, of course, one's going to be sell for more because it's nicer. It's also going to appraise for more because it's nicer. It'll do better in the condition codes and things like that.
One's more desirable, right?
Yeah.
But then it comes down to that human factor of the appraiser, which we've all been, slaughtered on at a time or two before.
And
there's
again,
no doubt.
Working with a good agent, because this is what the agent told this person, is that it doesn't matter if it's updated. It's still gonna sell for the
listen,
same.
if it's got a good kitchen, great bathrooms,
Exactly.
kitchens and bathrooms are the ones
we
that
just sold a beautiful
dictate.
brick ranch at Kevin's in St. Clair Shores for $15,000 over the max value that we set 30 days ago.
Okay.
Exactly. So again, work with a knowledgeable
Someone will buy
agent from the area.
Yeah, again,
That's what I wanted to get at there. Is that guy got some bad advice, but it happens,
Well, that comes down to anybody thinking of selling. The question of where do I put the dollars if they have some dollars to put in their home? What do I do?
Right.
Do I put the roof on? Do I replace the mechanicals, the furnace in the AC? Do I update the kitchen, bath? Which one do I pick if you got $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to put in the home?
This is one of the things where Kevin is most professional person I've met doing this. Is, it's amazing. He does the nicest work out of anybody.
Oh,
But
by far.
When I walk into the house, I'm like, are you going to, smooth out the steps, or you didn't buy the high-end storm door? He's like, no, it's brand new storm, and he knows exactly what to pick and choose and where to make it perfectly clean and what's desirable to everybody. And they're some of the nicest work I've seen anywhere.
Yeah, there's no doubt a lot of the flippers out there didn't do the jobs the way they cosmetically covered up things versus some quality.
You see it both ways, right?
Yeah,
You
like
see
anything.
guys who spent way too much money, and you see others who've, carpet and painted, and the homes are, sort of a disaster, a perfume on a pig.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. Hey, real quick here before we finish up, paying off land contracts, taking care of family members, your grandkids want to purchase your house, grandparents are deceased. We handle these at Capital Mortgage Funding as good as anybody out there. Again, if you have a situation, you've been renting to own, and you want to figure out how to put that transaction together, we can help you. Call 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We will help you get that land contract paid off, or if you've been renting to own and some of the additional money was going to be put towards your down payment, we've got tons of information and can truly help you acquire that home. That music says, Mr. Ian Mason and Victoria, that we're done. So we really want to thank you guys for coming in. You're awesome.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are great.
awesome.
Thanks a
And,
lot. Kevin, thanks a lot for showing up. You're awesome.
Yep,
Yes,
we got
sir.
Kevin
Appreciate it.
McClellan, cashforyourhousenow.com. That's the number 4.
Always call-
Cashforyourhousenow.com.
Oh, that's great stuff. Always call Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll get you set up with Ian Mason, Premier Realty, and all these other professionals, including Kevin. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Tiger baseball later this afternoon. Keep it here.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.